going to take up your writing a weave skills another notch today with today's video. I have already released a video on writing a weave using multiple beads per side, and I suggest you start out with that particular video. I will pop a link up for that to take you there if you need to start out there, because I find that people start out much more easily with multiple beads per side. Once you get down to where you're building your apartments with a single bead on each side, it's the same techniques. It just looks a little bit different because it's a little more crowded and clustered together, and it's not quite as obvious to see where those floors and walls and ceilings are. So start out with the multiple bead per side, and then I'm now going to step you through how you do it with one bead per side. I'm still going to start you out with I'm going to do my demo, and I'm going to suggest you do it with fire polish first. 3mm, 4mm, doesn't really matter. They just sit at nice little right angles. Get comfortable with the technique first, and then transition to seed beads. It just makes that learning curve a little bit easier. Okay, so let's get going with our actual beads. Here we go. Since I am just doing a single bead per side, when I'm creating my first box, I'm only picking up 4 beads. And I'm going to pass through all of them again to connect them. And then I'm going to keep going around by 1 bead here so that it will actually turn into the box. So there's my box, okay? So actually, if I orient it with my tail thread the way I like it. Okay, so here's my left wall, my right wall, my ceiling, and my floor. I want to get over to the opposite wall of my tail so that I can keep building more row houses, basically, along here. So I'm going to just work my way around this box by 2 beads. All right, so there we go. Tail threads on this side, working threads on this side. This wall is going to be shared with the next row house here. So I'm only picking up 3 beads to finish off this box. Remember that I'm chasing my tail, so I'm chasing my thread, so I'm going in the side that there's no thread. Okay, so there's our 2 little units side by side. But again, I want to get to this outside edge now to add another unit. So that means I'm just going to keep going around this box to get to that outside edge. There we go. Let's add 1 more box here. So I'm picking up 3 because I do have 1 shared wall. I'm going in the side that there's no thread. And there we go. So now I want to get myself in position to now add my basically the second level here. And so what I can do is I can just pop right across this ceiling bead, just like so. And now I can build my first apartment right off of this ceiling bead. So what is the ceiling of this box is now going to be the floor of the box above it. So I'm picking up 3 to finish off this box. I'm going in the side that there's no thread exiting. There we go. So now there's my first unit of the second floor. Remember how I now need to work to where I need to add beads, work over there. So I'm going to just keep passing around these beads. And here's something very important about right angle weave. Especially starting out, you want to move 1 bead at a time. So move 1 bead and then tighten, and then move 1 bead and tighten, because your thread will actually create corners when you do that. Now, if I had gone through this bead and this bead at the same time, because I know I want to go through both of them, look how that turns into an angle instead of being a nice right angle. So it basically turns it into a 45-degree angle. So what happens is your boxes start looking sloppy, and that's when it can be really hard to see where your walls and ceilings and floors are. So you will have a much happier experience at least when you're starting out and you're still learning how to visually navigate this, if you move one bead at a time and tighten and make them nice little soldiers with their boxes. Here's a spot where people will get confused because they think that they're at an outside edge of this apartment right here. But look, if I add beads right here, what's going to happen is one of these beads is going to sit right here. And what I want is for there to be this little intersection in between the beads. So if I've got thread and bead right there, that's a problem. So instead, what I have to do is a little bit of extra maneuvering. And we're going to come right across over here. Now, as I'm looking at this, here's my floor and there's my right wall. So I'm just adding a left wall and a ceiling here. So for the remainder of the apartments on this row, we only have to pick up 2 beads. And I'm going in a circle, so that means I'm passing down through the wall and across the floor. People will get confused right now. At this point, my thread's coming out of this bead here. They know they need to be either here or here for that last apartment, and they're not sure where to go. And the instinct is just to go straight ahead through there. But if you do that, that puts a thread across this intersection. So what you have to do instead is, remember, when you come to an intersection, turn right, turn left. You cannot go straight ahead. So to get in position, I'm going to turn instead, and there we go. Now there is actually a reason for that. It's not just completely arbitrary that I don't want a thread blocking up that intersection. The reason for that is this little hole in between our units is an embellishment opportunity. And there will be many, many times where you're going to put a bead in that intersection, and if there is a thread that's already there, the bead has to sit up on top of the thread on one side, and on the other side, the thread, you're going to see the thread and not the bead. So there is actual method to the madness. So here's the last apartment unit that I need to add. So I'm picking up my 2. Remember, I'm going in a circle. So I am going to come across the floor, back up the wall, and we'll go to the left here because now I am ready. That is my completed second floor. So now I'm ready on this particular bead right here to add the first unit of my 3rd floor. And remember, the first unit of every row, you're only going to have 1 shared wall instead of 2 shared sides. So, so here I would actually have to pick up 3 for that very first unit. After that, I would be back to only picking up 2 at a time. Something else that you're going to notice as you're doing this is, now I made a very short little sample here, but say this was much longer, you would notice that one of the things that you're doing is you're going clockwise, adding 1, and then counterclockwise for the next one, and then clockwise, and then counterclockwise. So if that whole figure 8 thing helps you visualize where you need to go, that is another driving, a clue for you as you're trying to kind of navigate what's going on. I know it's confusing at first, but you know what? Once you get to that click moment, it's going to seem like the easiest thing in the world, and you're going to be right angle weaving like crazy because it gets completely addictive, and it really opens up a lot of design options for you. So I do have a written tutorial, and it's free, a free written tutorial. If the diagrams and written instructions will help you in addition to the video, and that is available on my website at jillwisemandesigns.com. Trust me, it's worth it. Learn your right angle weave. Happy beading.